Hello, Toronto. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Ms. Jacklyn Dwyer to Jackievibesradio Channel 3. From the Toronto Black Farmers, we're going to talk about your passion, your vision, your mission of your craft. KoolBreeze is here to chronicle the vibe and magnify your brilliance, local to global. Welcome to Jackie Vibes. An honor to have you on my show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. How are you? How is life?
Good, we can't keep complaining. We just have to get up and keep it moving.
Yes, yes. Before we get into the meat of things, how are you? How was life? And tell the fans where you're from and how did you get started?
Oh dear. So originally I was born in Kingston, Jamaica.
Right.
I migrated to Canada in 1978 January, and I've always lived in this west part of Toronto. The furthest I moved to was Dovercourt and College Street, and then I moved back up.
Okay.
So I've always been in this area, and rapidly now the area has changed.
Right.
It's getting very expensive and upscale.
Oh, wow.
And the people who have held the fort here and held the economy here for, I say, 50 years,
right,
are being forced out.
Yeah,
because they can't afford the cost of living here anymore.
And that is a sad state of affairs.
Yes, it
Because we
is.
got to live somewhere at the end of the day and we got to eat.
Yes, it is.
Right. Now, I had the unique opportunity to visit your farm. I was in awe. I was ecstatic, highly blessed to see your farming operations. I was just so taken back, my friend and I, and then when I came back that night, tears came out of my eyes.
Yeah.
To see how you were doing something so magnificent, so beautiful for the universe, because at the end of the day, the nice fancy house is nice, the bunch of cars on the lot, and the fancy suits, and the prestige and all the power business. At the end of the day, you got to eat first.
Yes, right.
And this is where you come in. What brought you into farming, Jacklyn?
Well, I grew up in Jamaica. I'm from Kingston, so my mother's mother and father's side of the family, they're all from the rural side. So my mother's from Westmoreland and my father's from Manchester.
All right.
And those are traditional farming communities.
Right.
So the summers, when I had my summers, when I leave school, I would go visit my great-grandmother in the country.
Okay.
And when you go to her place, she lives and dwells in a food forest.
Okay.
Her house is in the middle.
Okay.
And there's just food all around her. So I didn't know at that time that these seeds were planted in me. And so when I moved to Canada, and over the years living in Toronto, and I've seen all the socioeconomic changes the city itself goes through, but our black community consistently goes through. I started growing doing my own little black backyard growing.
Right.
And so I started doing that by planting a strawberry patch with my children. Started teaching them about their native environment and what grows here during all seasons. And then I started adding, the seasonal quick cash crops like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, and so on and so forth. And when I harvest them, they would taste so much different from what you buy in the store.
Okay.
And then what I would do at the end of the season, I would call friends in and ask, tell them that, I grew, and so I have excessive amount of vegetables, so come and get some. And they were always grateful to come and harvest from my garden. 2013, I decided
proof in the pudding
that I am going to learn commercial scale growing because we saw both my other co-founder Noel and I started to see a steady incline going up, where they say organic, we say clean.
Okay.
Food going up. And the last time we went up to the Big Carrot, the woman told us $200 and odd, and we barely could carry it. The bags were so small. And I said to Noel that we're going to do this. We're going to learn commercial scale growing, and we're going to start to grow and see where it takes us. And from 2013 to now, this is where it's taken us. The community is learning more about what we do.
Right.
They're very appreciative. They thank us.
Right.
And they get to be able to afford the food that we're growing.
Okay.
But we are taking it a step further.
Right.
We are telling our community that this is the time and era now where you have to go back to what your ancestors, your mother, your father, your grandparents, and other ancestors that you don't know were doing, and
Right.
start to learn how to grow your own food.
Good point you brought up there, Jacklyn, because I found when I look around the young people today, they're into this glitz and glamour and not trying to carry the torch from a forefather. Too proud for that. They're more into the party and the this and that. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, when we send our children to school, starting from, kindergarten all the way up to elementary school, they spend most of their time in school. So if the education system is not exposing them to agriculture and to self-reliance and sustainability, then of course, naturally, they are going to gravitate to what they are teaching them in school, and they're teaching them to come to go and learn and come out and work for somebody else and rely on a system that don't respect us, don't love us, and don't want to see us advance.
Well, okay, interesting. What variety of crop do you grow, Jacklyn?
So we, the Toronto Black Farmers and Growers Collective, we focus on community food security, food justice, and food sovereignty.
Right.
A part of food justice is growing culturally relevant crops that can grow here in the short growing season,
Right.
And also some of the seasonal crops. We don't own land, so sovereignty is tied into ownership. And so we're always advocating against how the system divvy up land and make good arable fertile land accessible and affordable to groups like us. A part and parcel of the mission, because we dwell in the urban space, every little corner that you see, that is available for something green to go there, they plop down concrete blocks on it. So in the very, very near future, we're going to be, stifling for fresh air because we hardly see any green trees around us.
True.
And without trees, we don't get, rainfall is not encouraged, and the air is not clean. When you drive out of the city, I'd say an hour or 2 hours out of the city, it's a totally different ambiance.
Yeah, it is, and the air is
People
clean.
have land, them plant trees,
Right.
them growing them food, they have community. It doesn't matter how the place looks sleepy, it's a community and people know each other. Here in the city, everybody is just on this treadmill of survival.
Right. What are the advantages of organic farming?
Oh my God, so many benefits.
Throw a few out there.
First, all the land itself, you're giving back so much value and nutrition to the land. The other thing is all the other, animals, insects around you, they also eat what you grow.
Right.
So they benefit and they keep expanding their population and making the ecosystem healthier. And also too, when you eat clean, your body becomes clean, and what happens is that the fuel that you're giving your body is clean. So when you when your body's secreting any waste, it's not, you don't have to hold your breath because it's clean. So the more we can the more we can put into, doing this type of growing clean, respecting the environment, the earth, feeding that to ourselves and each other, I think we'll be healthier. We'll man our eco footprints to the hospitals. We'll spend less time at our doctors. Your health is your wealth.
Amen to that.
And so if you don't start to focus and take care of your health, you're going to have some problems in the future.
Right. Now, are organic yields lower? Crop rotation, how essential is that, Jacklyn?
Very essential. I remember, say, 20, 25, 30 years ago, everybody wanted this beautiful green lawn with no weeds growing in there, right?
Right.
And so they would literally put chemicals or pesticides in the soil to prevent that.
Right.
Years after, people started getting sick. They started having all kinds of diseases and cancers. And so when they go back and start to look at their footprints, they started realizing that they were already killing themselves with these chemicals and pesticides. So now, for a lot of younger folks who are buying property, particularly in the city, they're tearing up these lawns. They're planting like small food forests, front and back. Right. And they actually live off of that throughout the spring to the summer to the fall.
Great. Now, how does organic farming help the environment, and how does organic farming improve soil and water quality?
Oh my God. So again, if you're not using chemicals, nothing, no chemicals or no pesticides will be seeping into the water table. So that's one big point. Also, again, the pollinators, the insects, all the beneficial insects, you know, the raccoons, the this one, the that one, they all come. Whenever you grow anything, all these little creatures visit you. And I've seen this. If it has chemicals on it, not even the birds would come there.
Really? No. I didn't know that.
If you drive out of the city and look at these mega farms where it's like 1,000, 2,000 acres, then plant corn and all kind of something, you don't see any birds or any squirrels over there because it is a different type of setup. There's chemicals there and they're not going to eat it. So when I planted some corn this year, some native corn, I didn't get one.
Really?
The raccoons ate them right down to the corn husk and leave it on the tree.
Wow.
It's sweet and it's clean and there's no chemicals and no pesticides, so you're not disrupting the natural formation of things.
Wow.
You're actually inviting all these other, you know, all these other entities around you to come and partake in what you grow. So it is very essential, very important, and very vital, whether you're learning or you're an experienced farmer, to again mind your eco footprint, because what we put in is what we get out.
Absolutely.
And you know, if we want this planet to remain healthy and we want to slow down a lot of things that is rapidly happening to the planet, like, you know, our carbon footprint, we need to really take a stock to our own actions as to what we're putting in the soil that eventually will seep into our water and into our air.
Oh, that's quite the illuminating explanation. I like that. Does organic farming cost more?
I wouldn't say so. Everything in the capitalist setup is supply and demand. So maybe 40 years ago, they didn't really care about organic food. It was about conventional, how much you can produce, how much you can get out in the marketplace. Now, them same foods there have made thousands of people sick. And now everybody is backtracking to say, you know, I used to eat this, I used to that, and I never ask any question. Now I'm asking questions and I'm learning more. I don't want the conventional food. I want things that are clean, that will not impact my body in a negative way. So again, supply and demand, the cost has gone up. But if you're growing small scale, so you have 1,000 square foot and you want that to feed your household, if you're not making your own compost, you should learn how to start doing that. Learn how to, you know, grow your own worms, which are red wigglers that are good for the soil in agriculture. And always put back your food scrap. If you don't want to set up a physical compost bin, always dig a hole where you're growing or you're gardening, and chop up your food scrap and put it in the hole and cover it so that it turns into carbon and it keeps building your soil. Because when we have these monsoon rains and hurricanes in the world, what happens is that it takes at least I think they said 4 to 6 inches of topsoil back into the ocean. So we always have to keep building. That's a part of food insecurity.
Okay.
We always have to keep building topsoil so that we can produce, have a huge scale of production happening, right. So some crops come in 30 days, some come 60, and some come 90, some 120, 150, or depending on what it is. The quick cash crop is 90 days the most, right? And so when they start to come in, and you can, once they finish their cycle, you can rotate them out and rotate another crop in. That is the quote unquote organic system. You're always on this quick rotation basis.
All right.
So kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, cabbage, onion, tomato, garlic, sweet potato, okra, all these things, hot pepper, sweet pepper, tomatillos. There's so many things, chocho, so many things you can grow within the spect of time that we are allotted. So in Canada and in Toronto where we are, when March comes in, by mid-March, say the week of the 15th, you can start to seed plants. So you can start sowing your seeds in a greenhouse space, or maybe in your own home. And then once it gets warmer, progressively warmer, then you start moving them outside, still taking care of them, and so they can get used to the air. And then once it gets a little bit warmer, then you can start to transplant things like your onion, your scallion, your cabbage, herbs, and they like the spring weather. Napa cabbage, bok choy, pak choy, pak soy.
Man.
You can put those.
You're making me hungry already.
You can put those in the ground because they like the cooler climate. When it gets to June now, you can start to put things in like the hot crops, like the hot peppers, sweet pepper, callaloo, tomato, all of those things, okra, eggplants. They like the hotter climate.
Right, that's delightful. When I told my boss on work, I met you and I got a tour of the farm and everything, and she was just Nicole. She was so excited. I said, I'm going to interview this lady, Jacklyn, and she says, I want in. Give me a piece of the action. I want in.
Yeah, she's welcome to come. We're going to be doing a harvest celebration the first of October, which is Saturday coming. And so we are always, we always welcome and invite our community to sit with us and break bread.
Beautiful. And my co-workers, the facilities team at work at the Pension Trust, Nicole, Mary, Amala, Tom, Gary, and Curtis, everybody had some input into what we're going. Now the question from Lady Boss, Nicole, is, what is the process of sustainability and combating greenhouse gases?
Wow. So again, if we want to combat greenhouse gases, one of the projects we are working on with York University Faculty of Environmental Studies with a professor by the name of Jose Echeverry. He's a climate solutions expert.
Right.
And so what we are doing, we're integrating alternative energy in our work to come off the grid. So stop using the power, but use the sun energy.
Yes.
So we're using solar panels, battery packs, in case we need power.
You have a backup.
And so we're moving more to that solar electric feel.
Yes.
Versus being on the grid where it's draining our pockets. That's a part of sustainability because remember, the divine heavens give us, these things unconditionally. We come to them, right? And we've not been benefiting from them away from just the plants and what.
Right.
In terms of alternative energy, we've not had the resource and the manpower, the trained manpower to benefit from alternative energy. So now there is an opportunity that we black farmers are looking for about $1 million or $2 to do training with young people, like children, like little ones and school agers, do some camps with them in the summer to teach them about this. And then for the older youth and adults and seniors in our community is to start raising the consciousness and the awareness about alternative energy, its use, its benefits, and how it can be sustainable into the future coming. Now we're seeing more electric vehicles. A lot of the companies have to be shutting down these gas guzzlers that they're making and rely more on green energy. So this is the way forward in the future. And I'd like to see our community get more hands-on training, more knowledge. If it's something that if you want it as a career path, we have through Professor Acheveri and all his years of research, has made some terrific partnerships with companies in Toronto and in and around Ontario that are doing phenomenal things as it pertains to solar panels and solar energy. So if you want this as a career, you can be trained in it. You can also continue to build your own capacity, maybe create a company, learn the different mechanics and outputs of this, that you can maybe build a piece of equipment or tool that can help with this in this sector. It is going to be a huge sector, and we need to position ourselves strategically to be a part of that.
Incredible. Now, what can an individual do to make a difference to help with the food security issues? What I am seeing and what is still happening, a part of the reason why I do this work is I wanted to dismantle systemic racism, anti-black racism and oppression in this industrial food system. We have always been people that have, are creators. And so if we want to make an impact, we need to be investing our dollars into groups like Black farmers, so we want to develop products and marketplace where these products can continue to thrive and build from one generation to the next. We must now start to practice Pan-Africanism and ensure that our dollar circulates amongst us. I'd say 2,000 times before it creeps out of our community. That's the only way we're going to be able to build solid foundation, create assets, and have longevity in this sector. Because if we keep on throwing our money to others, it is going somewhere where it is never going to return to our community, and we are never going to get any benefits from it. We are only considered to be consumers, but we are not going to be corporate owners of food companies, and that's what we need to focus on now. The growing part we could do, our ancestors have always been doing this, but what we need to create now are products, serious products and product lines. I have ideas if folks want to reach out through Curtis to talk to us, but we need to now start to really capitalize on what we grow in the Caribbean, Africa, Latin, South and Central America, and create products and get it in the sector where, again, we are building our own economies again. Fantastic. I've got a question from Amala. Jacklyn, how do you encourage herbs from other parts of the globe that add flavors?
Oh, I love that. I have quite a bit of herbs in my greenhouse and also outside in the field, where sometimes we bring some out and we grow them in the soil. And so they're very important because herbs are medicinal, they're nutritional, they have a lot of vitamins and minerals and trace minerals that is good for the body. For instance, clove that grows in Grenada, they're now figuring out that clove is a super spice. So if you're losing your hair, or you have your hair and it's coming out of your head in bungles, you wash your hair, condition it, and then you what you do, you boil the clove and let it sit down for about a week and soak in that boiled water.
Wow.
And then you strain it, put it in a spray bottle and spray your hair, spray your head and massage your scalp. And what the clove does, it stops the breaking and starts grow your hair again.
Really?
Clove. So spices and herbs are very essential to health and well-being. Okay. And I always welcome them.
Great. Question from Mary: are school tours available at your?
Yes.
Yeah.
We always do. What we do, because we've come across so many oppression and marginalization when it comes to this sexy conclave of food. So over the years, we've been growing to 9 years now. This is our 9th year. We always welcome our community, particularly the young ones, to come and have this experience, because there's no space really created for them. So we always welcome that engagement.
Great. Do you sell online and use social media to promote your products?
Yeah. So we have a group of young people that do our social media, because we can't farm. When I'm in the field, I don't have my phone on me. People are always complaining that I don't answer. Right. But you can. I don't try to multitask. I focus on one task at a time.
Right.
But we are in Downsview Park. We're at the Keel Street and Shepherd Avenue west side of the park. There's 3 large greenhouses on the lot. We're in the middle one. You can call us. You can visit us. And we always welcome the community, because we are not going to be doing this forever. Right. We want to train our community to continue in this tradition here.
Like generational wealth.
Yes. We need to build that.
Right. Now I got a question for Tom. From Tom: do you donate to any shelters or second harvest?
I always do. We started in 2013, and by 2015, we had about a 2.5 acre farm, and every year we give food. That year we gave over 400 pounds of food. And when we go downtown and we talk to people on the street, because we know the high-end market is very saturated, so what we do, we always give to chefs that we know that prepare for people who are on the streets and don't get to eat organic. Right. And a lot of people see us and say, we know you, we ate your food, it's so good. You always try to give or to make space for us, and we appreciate that.
God bless you. God bless you. I'm telling you. Now this question from Tom: is there concern that the city will continue to expand and push you further out?
Of course. Remember, and I hope everybody who is listening to this and paying attention, is that we are not new to this sector. We were the ones that were the agriculturalists, farming and doing all the back-breaking work, and never got paid for it. Canada is no different. They had slaves here. Right. They were doing all the same bad things they were doing in the South was happening here. So yes, they don't want to see a face like mine standing up and holding them accountable. So they're going to make the stake very high for me and push us out for sure.
Wow, that's terrific. Question from Nicole: rapid condo development, apartment, green space, what does that do to the psyche of the people?
Well, it just put them in our coop. You know, when you have fowl, you have the fowl them in our coop. It's fowls in a coop, but you have to pay for the coop now, right? And them tell us you can't grow up on the rooftop. I'm not saying you can't do that. I don't believe in that. I believe that your food must be fundamentally grown in the earth, where it can pull on all the natural minerals that are in the earth and that are in your body. They need to work together and make you healthier. So it's best for your food to grow in the ground. A brother from the Democratic Republic of Congo came to our farm about a month ago, and he's running for office there now. His name is Fred. And Fred said we should come. He's inviting us to come. There's an election there. He's inviting us to come. He has a lot of land. He couldn't even get 1,000 square foot here to grow for his household. And he said that he sent us this video, a beautiful video. I'm going to show it to you. If you see the corn, with the amount of minerals in the soil in Africa, you should see the corn that they're growing.
Huge.
Beautiful.
Tastier.
And I'm like, wow, all this mineral under the feet of these people have been like saving them for so many generations.
Yeah.
Because irregardless of what they say about the continent of Africa, the soil is
the
very
richest in the world.
rich.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to go there and start to do something where food is concerned and create byproducts from that.
I once heard something that said the soil in Uganda was so rich, one of the richest in the world, if not the richest. Like the bananas and corn and everything grow bigger than anything else and tastier than anything else on the planet.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is because they have the abundance of the world's wealth under their feet.
Right.
And so, of course, everything is just going to look like it's growing on steroids from those minerals. So I definitely want to experience that too.
Sensational. Do you donate to charities?
I always give. I don't like charities are something that was created for people who want to tell the government that they're doing good. I do good every day.
And don't broadcast.
And when you come to me or you come to my farm and if you don't have money and it's a boy, sister, things rough and I don't have to tell my next neighbor, I just give you. And sometimes you don't even have to ask me, I give. Come to the farm and you buy anything, I give.
Yes.
I always give.
And I experienced the KoolBreeze experienced that firsthand. God bless you.
Yeah, I give.
Yes. What if the fans want to, what is organic farming and why is it important?
Saving ourselves and saving the planet. Right? When they started introducing chemicals and pesticides in the agricultural sector, it started marking fundamentally the decline of our health. Right. So once we went back, once we opened up our consciousness to that, and we went back and start to eliminate these things out of what we do, people started getting more conscious, more healthier. They started realizing, like for instance, when I came to Canada, the apple I was used to in the city was the Red Delicious. Now them have about 200 varieties, right?
Hybrid stuff.
And a lot of times when you're creating these hybrids, you have to use chemicals, right? For particularly like fruits like apples because they get worms.
Yes.
Like in southern Ontario, down in St. Catharines, where they have the fruit farmers, a whole generation of them are dying out with all kinds of cancers because of the chemicals that they have to use to grow and spray these fruits while they're growing them. So I always try my best to stay away from those things because they're not doing anything to me fundamentally. And when you give people these food in good faith, you want them to eat it and be well and not get sick, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. So people are opening up their eyes and they're getting more conscious to move away from cheap food, they call it.
Great, fascinating. A question from the KoolBreeze, Curtis. Where can beginning organic farming and farmers transition and get assistance?
Well, from what the province says and a number of these farming institutions are saying is that in order to get assistance, you have to join some kind of membership. We're a non-profit, so we're a small non-profit. And we're not any members of any of these things because, again, we go back to the history of black farmers here in Ontario and the rest of Canada and what had happened to them. There was no protection for them. Houses were burned down, people were murdered, raped, all of these things, and there was no protection and nobody talks about it. And I'm quite sure if your audience should go and research the history of black farmers, they them wipe everything off of the shelf. So but there is a history and it's not a good one.
Yes, that's right.
So in order for us to talk about connecting ourselves to these colonial institutions, my thing is that as a community, whether you know how to grow or you don't know how to grow, or you don't have any land to grow, we should get together and form our own formal bodies where we now can plant food for our community. Because that's very, very important.
Remarkable, and I'm all for it. Yes. What does certified organic mean, and how is certification regulated?
Oh, so there is a body that does that here in Ontario.
Right.
And you have to pay, and it's not cheap, and it's not done one time. It's over a course, I think, of about maybe, depending on how many acres you have, maybe 2 to 5 years. And every so often they come and they look at what you're doing, how you're doing it, and then they give you partial certification. So it's a system of rotation. You know, how you put back organic matter, how you make your soil healthier, how you rotate your crop system, how you seed save through these systems that makes you organic without using chemicals and pesticides.
Great. And how does organic farming help mitigate climate change?
Well, as Professor Acheveri said it most profound, since he's connected with us at Downsview, he said the solution to hunger is what we're doing, growing directly in your community. People can ride their bikes to us, they can drive their electric cars to us, they can ride their regular bicycles, they can walk on foot, and they can come to this urban farm. They don't have to wait for it to be trucked in how many kilometers away to come. And that is a solution in your community that can mitigate hunger and food poverty, and you can create more in other neighborhoods across the GTA.
Splendid. What are the 4 principles of organic agriculture?
Well, the first one is arable, fertile land. You must have good land. If you don't have good land, then you need to test your soil. You need to know what you're working with, whether you know it or not. Always test your soil. Take samples of your soil in east, west, north, and south, and in the middle. Send it to a lab and ask for the soil to be the soil to be analyzed. If there's any chemicals, any toxic chemicals, any pesticides in there that is not healthy, they will tell you. They will tell you how to remediate the soil. A great way to remediate the soil is to plant hemp. Anything in the soil that is toxic, the hemp will suck it out.
Wow, great.
Right? And then make sure you have good water. That is so essential. And again, your land is exposed to the elements. So the rain, the sun, the wind, all of those things gives you that pillar, a good foundation to build a good organic system on.
Right. Great. Wow. Why is it important to invest in organic research?
Because, like I just said a while ago, apples are a perfect example. Like, we have so many variety, and they're dubbing it to be organic. But if you should go in the bush, I was up in Aurelia, on the reserve of the Chippewas of Rama, and we walked through a couple of areas, and this one particular was in a cemetery. And it had this beautiful apple tree, but because it wasn't treated with the pesticides, it has worms in it. So myself and about 3 other persons went under the tree, and we were picking up apples. The apples were so sweet.
Wow.
But because it has worms in it, a lot of people will not eat it because they're afraid of the worms.
Right.
But if we take those same apples, cut off the part that's bad, compost it, and juice the part that are good, you get good locally grown apple cider.
Now, with apple with worms, tastes better than one with chemicals?
Yeah.
Is that right?
One with chemicals, though, the dangerous part about these chemicals is that they're colorless, they're odorless, and they're tasteless. But when they hit your blood, they become extremely dangerous and toxic.
What kind of soil do you use?
Oh, we work with the clay outside. We compost, so we have a formal commercial compost site that was set up by Noel.
Right.
and we use the compost from our compost site to turn into the clay, because it's very clay. You have layers of clay here that you can use to make pottery.
Right.
And then the clay itself is also very nutritious, but it's very hard to work with. So when you're adding compost to it and natural organic matter, and even your table scraps, it slowly breaks down the clay and build topsoil. So it's also very essential. And it's another essential piece is to add worms to your soil. So the worms that people go and buy when they're going fishing, the red wigglers, those are the worms you add to the soil, and they help.
And what does that do?
So they secrete worm castings, and that is loaded with nutrients, and that helps your plants to grow very well and strong.
Do you use GMO?
No. Genetically modified. They're an organism, really. No. Unfortunately, in Canada, there is no laws, not policy. We need laws that are separating GMOs, conventional food, from the food that is grown clean. There's no law.
Okay. Do you use sprays or pesticides?
No. What we do, we take spices, things like cayenne and chili grounded, and we make our own repellents from, again, pests and insects that are non-beneficial to our plants.
When I came to your greenhouse, I was so fascinating. And then when I went home, and I said to myself, how does the inside the greenhouse, how does those plants get pollinated?
Oh, the bees come in from outside.
They do come in there?
Yeah. They're just laying, as the Trinidad say, liming in the crease of the greenhouse. And if you see, we have another layer of pepper coming in again.
Really?
Yeah. They come in and they pollinate the plants.
Now, if the greenhouse was tight and the bees couldn't get through, how would the plant survive?
Well, any plants that are not pollinated, when it starts to send out fruit, which is through a blossom, if it doesn't get pollinated, it just eventually falls off the tree and you won't get any food. A lot of people experience that with things like zucchinis, peppers, and whatnot. Anything that doesn't get pollinated, they fall off the tree.
Amazing. Jacklyn, what are the differences between your farm now and farming when you were a kid?
Oh my God. So when I came here at 14, I didn't have that opportunity to go outside of the city.
Yeah.
But my mom, who just recently transitioned, used to take me down to Bloor Street. So Bloor and Ossington area used to have a lot of West Indian markets, Italians and all these other people, Portuguese, not only selling meat and fish, but also fresh fruits and vegetables.
Right.
And that was my exposure to, their marketplace here, what that looks like, and how we could go and get our own foods that we were used to, and stuff that grows here in the same, all in the same area.
Right.
But it is a very, very difficult, if again we don't have land, because land is a part of all human development.
Right.
And taking the land from the people and not making the land accessible to people, it's like you're psychologically and mentally dumbing people down, because they won't have the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, and it comes
skills.
right back to slavery.
Knowledge.
Yes. Now, what was the biggest change you encountered during the years of farming?
Oh my God. It took people a while to wake up to what we were doing. And what started happening was, again, the rise in cost of food.
Right.
And then when we start to experience certain turbulence in the climate, and people start realizing that food was getting more expensive, you weren't seeing a lot of things unless you go to certain places, then they started saying, wow, we're losing a lot more than we had before. And I'm saying, yes, if we don't get very purposeful in our action and preserve a lot of what we have that's going to disappear.
Right. Man, that is...
Because farmers and growers alike have to say, I want to preserve, these lines of peppers. I want to preserve these lines of fruits.
Right.
Now they've climatized sweet potato to grow here. Right. You have the orange flesh one that has no starch. Right. So people who are diabetic and can't eat the regular one, they can eat that one. And now I see the red skin one. They're growing the red skin one here. So they are looking for different ways. It's an actual plan to grow as much as they can within these borders that we can have access to. But a lot of the drawback with that is that for our community, if we are constantly unemployed, underemployed, don't have money, again, we can participate in those markets. So we have to create our own.
Remarkable.
I'm very, very big on that.
Remarkable. How have advances in technology such as machinery, genetics, or chemicals affected your farm or competition with your farm?
Well, this year when we started the season, we needed a tractor to come in and rip up the whole site. And being in the city, we have partners and friends outside of the city that have fleets of tractors. But it takes so much for the tractor to drive into the city using powered by gas to get to us on the highway. We couldn't get a tractor to come in here, so we literally had to do it manually.
Wow, that's a lot of work. That's like bringing in the mule.
Yeah, we had to do it manually.
Like they used to do down south. Wow, that is unbelievable. How do you see your role in the community, Jacklyn?
I'm just one of the helpers who are not trying but are doing something that is impactful, creating awareness the best way we can. And telling our people that this tradition is something that we must not lose, because if we lose it, we are going to suffer. Because we get the least food in places where we reside. I wouldn't say communities, because we don't have any communities here. Places where we reside, we pay more for it. Right, and we get the worst quality. So we have to really get back to tradition and start coming together. Whether you grow corn and you grow peas, and you start to come together and produce as much as we can, so that we can self-sustain ourselves and our community. The Afro-Caribbean Farmers Market is an example of that. We are a farmer there. We are the staple farmer. Right. But you have a lot of, food artisan that takes the products that we grow and make it into diverse products. And so we need our community to invest more in the sector of agriculture and food food production, producing products, byproducts that we can continue to create a market space. And we don't need it to go into all the big markets. We just need to create our own, because we've always had problems trying to integrate into other people's sector. Right. And when they don't like our politics, them take our stuff off the shelf and shut us down. So we need not to follow that route. We need to create our own. I'm a proponent of that. I believe in Pan-Africanism.
It's wonderful. As the divide between large and small farms has grown, has your operation adjusted?
Oh my God. So we were never in any of those layers. We are a non-profit body that came together to say, hey, we're not going to allow people to disrespect us. We're giving them our money, but they're disrespecting us. We are going to take the traditions that our parents and grandparents and elders were doing and make something out of it. And that's exactly what we did. The change that we want to see, we have to be that. And we have to be very hands-on. Right. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves.
True to that. Amen to that. What is the most satisfying part of farming for you?
always being in nature, and the beauty about nature is that whenever you come to nature and you're stressed, it literally takes off the layers of stress off of you without you even feeling it. And then when you leave nature, you feel the difference, right?
You know what?
Unwinds you.
That's an interesting parallel. This is what I take with my music to help local to global.
Yeah.
You know,
it unwinds.
Yes.
Because it's something that your aura is open up to, and so it does cleanse you from all of that negativity.
Let me tell you, what is the hardest part of farming for you?
The hardest part is having all the equipments I need.
Right.
I remember a number of years ago, I was talking to a white farmer from Guelph side, and he said to me, whenever I'm writing a grant or I'm looking for any kind of money for our business, I list all my equipments, because if I hire 10 people and they all decide that they're not coming to work, those 10 roles, I have to take the equipments and provide the service I need on the farm with the equipments I have until I complete the task for the day. So you have to have your equipments and know how to use them to not be held hostage. So equipments and tools are extremely important, and they're not cheap.
Right. May I ask, how many acres on your farm?
We are operating out of 0.2 hectare at Downsview Park.
Okay. And where's your farm located?
We are at Downsview Park, at the Keel Street and Shepherd Avenue, west side of Downsview. We are at 70 Canuck Avenue. We're in the borough of North York, Ontario. And you can find us there Monday to Friday. We rest on a Saturday.
All right.
And on a Sunday, we start rolling the week again.
All right. Now, a hot topic. Revitalization of Little Jamaica.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
My mother passed away last year, December the 15th to be exact. And when she passed away, she lived here 50 years.
What's her name?
Kewester.
Okay.
And she used to live, when she came here, she was living right across from Monica's.
Oh, it was just a block away.
Yeah, and she told me that Monica had just not too long come from England. She was in an accident.
Okay.
She damaged her hip.
Right.
And she came here with her 2 boys and started a life and a business there. And, 2022, them a fight for push we out after we come and we give all that we could.
Right.
Under the tyranny that we existed here.
Right.
And that is not important and vital. Little Jamaica, as far as I'm concerned, will only be Little Jamaica in name, but there will not be any Caribbean people, whether we are Jamaican, Trinidadian, Grenadian, Bajan. None of we not going to be able to around here. Okay. That's going to change because the stakes are going to be too high. I can't afford it.
Oh, wow. That's so. What do you? From where to where is to consider Little Jamaica?
I would go as far as
starting where?
Western Road.
But starting where?
Starting from Marley.
Go straight down to
to Western Road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because on that side of Western Road, on the north side and the south side, we have a lot of Caribbean people, a lot of Jamaican people living there.
Yeah.
They have children and now having grandchildren. So yeah.
What are some of the ways you can reach out to the younger Caribbean people with respect to living a healthy lifestyle?
When you talk to people about health, like I said, your health is your wealth. Your health is your wealth.
Right.
But I can only share.
Yeah.
I can't put down this vibration on people because I don't know the challenges and the barriers and the marginalization and the oppression under which they're existing.
Right.
Many people are living here in this quote-unquote metropolis,
Yes.
but them don't have a kitchen. So if you
Okay.
don't have a kitchen, you can't prepare your food.
Right.
You have to depend on a restaurant, and most of the restaurant, the black-owned restaurant, they're barely surviving.
Yeah.
Right?
With the hit with COVID-19.
Yeah, so they're buying ingredients, but you're not getting the ingredients that you might want unless they specifically prescribe to, creating, plant-based menus that they use organic produce.
Right. So, and do you deliver to homes and restaurants?
Restaurants we don't really serve because they go to the Ontario Food Terminal and they buy what they want.
Right.
If they want to support you, they'll make the effort to come and support you.
Okay.
But delivery, when we do provide delivery service, is when we get a grant and we want like our seniors to get like a hamper from us or vegetables from us. Then we pay somebody from the community to deliver to them.
Okay.
But we don't have that capacity.
Right. Have you teamed up with other local vendors? Example, local vendors that produce hot sauces, which are very popular these days.
Yeah. So people always come and want to buy, peppers and herbs and whatnot. They make different things with them.
Yeah.
When you talk to a lot of, I don't know if folks are very aware of the Ontario Food Terminal. It is our food airport.
Okay.
And so everything that comes into Canada where food is concerned has to come through the terminal.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So when you go there, you have to have a license to buy there. If you don't, then somebody with a license have to buy for you, and you have to buy in case. The food we grow, you can engage with it right away.
Yeah.
And so if you come if you have a business want to buy from us, and you come and say, well, I need this amount from you, then we work with you.
Right.
What we grow predominantly goes towards households. What we want to expand into is to create, prepared food so people can actually pay us for the month to prepare their foods, and they come and pick it up, or we can get it delivered to them through some kind of food delivery system. But that is the next wave, because as the province has opened back now from COVID, people are trying to hustle. They're trying to catch up to the 2 years loss of wage.
Right.
So they're working 3 and 4 jobs and stuff. So when you're doing that, either you're paying somebody to make your meals, or your body's going to suffer. So it is very, very difficult for our community a lot of times to like really get into these kinds of programs, because again, you're not making enough money, and most of what you make, 90% of what you make go to shelter. Food is always way down there on the list. So it is vital, again, like I said before, that we sit down and plan for food. You can come to us and say, listen, this is my situation, how can you help me? And we can figure it out together. We're not that rigid that we can work with other food entrepreneurs to make something happen. That's what we have to do.
Something just crossed my mind when I was up at your farm. Is certain plants you have in there, do they really need pollination from the bees, or they can spring up on their own?
All plants flower.
Every single one.
And so even the one that
even at time?
This one, it flowers.
Really?
When you plant it outside, it flowers.
I didn't know that.
And the bees go and pollinate it, and it does very well outside. It gives you a different. I don't know if it's the soil, soil context here. But when the fall is coming, it sort of like have a purple color to the stalk. Yeah. And the bees then pollinate it too.
It's been an educational experience
Very
for
pretty
me.
to see them outside.
Yeah,
and a lot of people use it. In Argentina, this is an oregano. They use it as an oregano.
In Trinidad, we use that to season the meats.
Yeah.
And then I hear it's
Very
good. For tea.
Yeah.
System.
Yeah, it's very good for you. A very powerful herb. They say it's good in the eastern part of the Caribbean. They use it as a medicine for the lung.
Okay.
So it's something that you can
point
use.
to that again. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that you can use medicinally.
Yes.
Or you can use it in your kitchen as a part of your culinary conclave.
Wow.
To flavor your food. It's very, 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 very medicinal. And we have another one that we call Cuban oregano.
All right.
The leaves are finer than this,
right,
but it has this very floral, beautiful bouquet, like a warm floral bouquet essence. And again, these herbs are very powerful. Like it is, you chop it up, onion, garlic, maybe tomato. You dress it and eat them.
Right.
Yeah.
Socio-economically, are we living with dignity, quarter the planet vaccinated and things like that?
I don't think so.
No.
Growing up as a child, and before I left and come here, when it was time for us to be vaccinated, it was usually done through our schools.
Right.
We go to school, they give you
shoulders.
Needles, right? And at the time, many of our parents trusted the system, or whoever was our caregiver trusted the system, but they had recourse. They knew, through their years of testing the medicine before they gave it to you, that it would make you sick. But no, a lot of people are getting sick.
Yeah. Right.
And a lot of people they can't say they don't want to take it. If they don't want to, then they don't have a job. And that's creating a whole layers of very bad impacts on people. Homelessness, mental unwellness, all of these other things, sickness.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say the planet is in peril?
Yes, it is. I keep saying that. Okay. Simply because of the boundaries that are being pushed.
Right.
And the stress. So when your body's alive, your energy, right? And you can feel it.
Yeah.
And so when you are put in a position that make you feel unsafe or insecure, it gives off that energy also.
Yes.
So imagine a billion of us doing that, giving off this insecure energy. The realm of the planet is feeling that, and it's reacting. Remember, the creation is built on laws.
Right.
And however we overextend these laws, it's going to take you right back to where you need to be. And it could be in different ways. So now we're literally experiencing a changed climate. Like, we're just experiencing a hurricane that's coming from Puerto Rico.
Deadly.
They said it ruined Puerto Rico. And they actually, a couple of years ago, just had a very terrible hurricane there. I don't think they recovered fully from that. Now they got this one. They said there's no drinking water down there. It hit the Bahamas. It hit Turk and Caicos. I don't know if in Jamaica it's rain. Apparently on Mobe side they're getting rain. Mobe, Trelawney, them side there. But we are all interconnected. So if we are doing good by ourselves, each other, and the planet, I think the vibration of the planet will even out. But when we're in this chopped up state, it's choppy, like choppy water. We're gonna feel the imbalance, and I think that's what we're feeling right now.
Continent of the Americas. Some say Native Indian was here first. But there's artifacts to show that black people roamed the Americas before. What's your view?
I absolutely believe that because there's a community online of the young people that are saying that they are not African Americans, as they were told.
Right.
They are Native Americans.
Right.
And some even go as far as to tell you that they're Indians. We do have huge populations of our folks in the South.
Right.
That come from these bodies of indigenous. We are the first people of the earth.
Right.
We are the indigenous people of the planet. So no, it's we were socialized to be where we are now, and it's going to take so much more to bring us back to. They used to call this planet this continent Atlantis.
Yes.
Right? And so when we go to all of the Caribbean, all these islands, and there's many of them, there's about 105 or 205 of them.
Yeah.
They were all indigenous peoples live there.
Yes, that's right.
Right? So it's the same thing to these larger bodies of land where our people have been dwelling, and when you talk to them, they're able to go back to these histories. But nobody wants us to say that,
right?
Because it's not economically correct for them.
Yes.
Because now they have to share the pie, and they don't want to share the pie. But we are the first people of the planet.
Astonishing.
You know, when Winnie Mandela passed away, one of our collective member is a Khoisan woman from South Africa, and she is a family member of Winnie Mandela, and she kept a visual for Winnie at Oisey.
Okay.
And she had, as an indigenous person, she brought she had a panel of indigenous speakers from Canada, and one of the women, her name is Cindy, I never forgot. She was on the panel and she was speaking about Winnie, because she's met Winnie a number of times. They've been to South Africa, you know. She said the same conditions that they face here is the same thing in South Africa with indigenous peoples there.
Right.
And she said that she wanted to share something with the group, and she said that their elders used to tell them that they shouldn't tell us, that it was a secret, that they shouldn't tell us that they came here and saw us.
Wow.
Yeah, I never forget it. And so she wanted to get that off her chest. She wanted to make peace with that in her psyche. But we are the indigenous people of the planet. We're everywhere.
Right. This is true. Now, this is a hot one. Reparations, is that delusional for Afro-Americans and Afro-Canadian to think that we will receive any form of benefit?
Well, I don't expect anything from the people that are quote-unquote in power. Reparations come through different channels, and it's not always about money, right? As we were just talking about our heritage, our nationality, that's reparations.
Right.
When we go back to what we originally were, we'll start to reparate ourselves with the benefits that are connected to being a national of the Americas.
Interesting. Wow. Fascinating.
There's a lot of benefits, but we have to claim that and go through a legal process of taking that status back.
Wow. Jacklyn, it's been such a fascinating time being with you in the studio here, talking about these things that needs to get out there, because Jackie Vibes Radio, it's rich, raw, and organic, like the same things you do with farming. We're not about getting a quick buck out there and this type of business. We're helping the community grow exponentially, and we're here to magnify your brilliance, local to global. I'd like to thank you for taking the time at Jackie Vibes Radio broadcast facilities in Mississauga and Toronto. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your perspective. May God bless you on your continuing journey. And the KoolBreeze says, by synthesizing the world's elements, we can build a better planet. I want to thank Jackie Vibes Radio, Jacklyn Dwyer, Sandra Hacken, my co-workers, facilities teams, Nicole, Mary, Amala, Tom, Gary, Curtis, for their input in this incredible exclusive interview and broadcast. pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
having me.
Thank you, dear. Toronto Black Farmers.